Electric cars went mainstream at the New York Auto Show. That's still going on right now. I wasn't there, but Tom Moloughney from InsideEVs was, and he's going to be here to tell us all about it coming up next. Taking over the world, electrifying the world, Welcome to E4Electric, your number one source of unbiased electric car news. If this is your first time here, go ahead and click on that subscribe button down there so you don't miss anything moving forward. All right, the New York Auto Show, one of the biggest auto shows in the world. And, we've been kind of used to having these auto shows, telling people who come there, because it's not just media, it's just a lot of people come to those auto shows, what the future holds of the electric cars, which is great. But this one is a little different, I feel like. This one featured so many cars that are already on the market or just about to hit the market that people were walking around. They could have been actually shopping for those cars, saying, I can see myself in those cars. This car is on the market right now. I can get it. My neighbor is driving it. So I absolutely love it. As you know, this is also a Friday, so it's time for the Plugged In with Tom Moloughney, the contributing writer for InsideEVs. He was there. Here he is at the front entrance, happy as always. So I'm gonna bring him in. We're gonna talk about some of the cars that were, featured that are already in the market, some of the ones that are coming up, and there were a couple of concepts, interesting concepts unveiled. We'll get his take on it as well. Before I bring him on, just a quick reminder that this video and this show is sponsored by Byton. Check out the all-new, all-electric Byton SUV and Byte coming to Europe and here in the United States, starting at only $45,000. Look at the amazing shared experience, 48-inch screen, one of 5 screens, an amazing user experience that you will find in this car. Don't forget to make your reservation right now. It's free, and there's over 50,000 of them made around the world, so you better hurry up. It's in the description of this video. All right, without further ado, let's bring Tom in and ask him all about the New York Auto Show. Tom, how are you?
All right, Alex, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. All right, man, I'm a little jealous. I wasn't able to make it, but you were there. Do you share my impression of what I've been seeing, at least from here, that, as people walked around the New York Auto Show, and I think it's still going on right now, they are not seeing the future anymore. They're seeing what's happening right now, and they can actually go and buy these cars that are pretty realistically priced with a realistic range that they like. What's your impression?
Yeah, well, you definitely hit the nail on the head. I've been going to the New York Auto Show for probably 20 straight years now. In the last 10 years, I've gone to the press preview where I got a chance to go in before it was open to the public. And to your point, the cars that are on the floor there mostly are all available for purchase today. And that hasn't been the case in the past with electric vehicles, especially here in the New York Auto Show. The LA Auto Show for the past many years has featured a bunch of plug-ins that were, many of them were compliance cars that were available in California only, so that people that went there actually could purchase them. But now in New York, we're starting to be able to walk around on the showroom floor and have a few dozen plug-in options that are available here. I'm not saying that this is the first time electric cars are on the floor of the New York Auto Show that were available for purchase. But what I'm saying is that we're getting to the point now where they're kind of mainstream, where almost every manufacturer that you walk to has a plug-in car that we can buy here on the East Coast. And that hasn't always been the case. For instance, when you walk in, one of the things I thought was really cool, and if anybody does go to the auto show, there's a big poster that shows you where all the plug-in cars are. It's made just to show everybody, look, here's all the plug-in cars. I think there's something like 30 plug-in vehicles. Some of them are the concepts. And it gives you a map as to where they all are. If the car's fully electric, it's a light blue color. And if it's a plug-in hybrid, it's shown in half light blue and half purple. So you can easily identify which cars are full electric, which cars are plug-in hybrid, and where all the plug-in cars are in general. I think it was a really useful tool, and I saw a lot of people walking up to it and taking pictures of it. So when they're inside, they can pull up that picture and kind of find their way around.
I
So
love that. I love
yeah,
that when you showed it to me, I was like, wow, this is great. And the fact that the people coming up and essentially want to have a self-guided electric car tour for themselves throughout the show, that's awesome.
I agree. I thought that was a great feature, and I'm so glad to see it. You know, as you mentioned earlier, so often when we went to the New York Auto Show, there might have been one or two electric cars available, and then there were 6 or 7 concepts that were on the floor that, well, maybe we'd get those in a few years. But now you can walk around, and there's a couple dozen of those cars that are on the showroom floor are available. And another thing that's interesting is, in the past, the manufacturers made a real big deal about their electric car. It would be front and center. There would be posters. There'd be, a charging station and all kind of different collateral that showed people, ooh, look, this is an electric car. It's our halo car. It's green. It's great for the environment. We're such a responsible company for making a car that plugs in. But now they're just kind of mixed in with the other cars. Some people might not like that, but I think it's a cool thing because it's showing that they're mainstream now. They're
Right.
just another car in the manufacturer's portfolio. And that's really the way it should be. As long as they support it with advertising, which we really haven't seen as much as I think a lot of us would like. But they're treating the cars as it's another car. Here's our gas car, here's our hybrid car, here's our electric car, and whichever one you want to buy is fine with us.
I do like that, right? I totally agree with you. I do like that. At the same time, I almost want people who are driving electric cars to feel like they're driving the future. So like I'm shopping for one right now, and I really would want to be in a car saying like, this is the car of the future. I'm driving the car of the future. So should you. So I'm kind of split on that, but I'm totally fine with the whole, hey, we have a great car, it just happened to be electric thing. So, all right, tell us about it, because I know you brought some pictures. Let's talk about them. Tell me what maybe some impressions from the people around you were, and the ones that you liked and maybe didn't like.
Okay. Well, the star of the EV world at the New York Auto Show was Rivian. And that might not surprise anybody. It's the first time it made its East Coast appearance, the Rivian on display. And, you couldn't get near the area. It was just packed with reporters and people that wanted to take pictures and just come up and take a look at the cars. They kind of had them roped off so you couldn't get in and sit in it and really feel it. But that's expected because they only have a couple of these made. So they can't really let people get too up close and personal or they'll get destroyed. They need to get some mileage out of these cars and show them around, do the world tours. And it's interesting. It's good that you brought up the point of the video right now where we see that access behind the rear seat, the storage compartment that Rivian has in the pickup truck that's kind of underneath the front of the bed. Because Rivian did something really cool at the auto show. They actually built out 3 sort of mock storage compartments and made benches out of them. So the people could sit on there in the Rivian area, but they had glass windows that you could see how much gear could fit inside. So I see you've got that picture up there.
I love that. I love that.
You could see just how much gear you could fit inside that tunnel. And it's just a tremendous amount of space. I mean, that's one of those features that you look at and you're like, wow, this is just awesome. Like, who thought of this? That was brilliant, that they thought that that space isn't being used, so let's utilize it for storage.
Love that.
Yeah, and I like that Rivian is celebrating it by making benches out of it. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd like to get one of these actually. They look pretty, cool to me. I'd sit one in the park. That's awesome.
Definitely cool and functional, and it gives people an idea of just how much that one storage space can hold. So other than Rivian, I think the Audi e-tron got a decent amount of attention, but there was nothing really new there. Jaguar won 3 of the World Car Awards. They kind of swept it. The World Car of the Year, the World Green Car of the Year, and the World Design of the Year. So they really did a great job with the I-Pace as far as awards go. We haven't seen tremendous sales of the I-Pace here in the U.S. so far. I don't really know if that is supply constrained or if it is demand constrained. I guess it's going to take us a few more months to really figure that out. But the judges loved the car. They gave it all 3 awards, and Jaguar was very proud of that. And there was quite a bit of people around the I-Pace, even though it's been here on display before. It generated a decent amount of interest, maybe because they just won all these awards and people wanted to see what was going on there. But it was notable that they didn't just win the Green Car of the World Green Car Award. They won the World Car of the Year Award. So that beat everybody, which is a pretty good distinction for them.
I gotta say, I saw that, and I kind of already wrote the I-Pace off for a couple of reasons. I just wasn't feeling it. But now that I'm actually seriously shopping, for a car and getting kind of cold feet on the e-tron, and it's really almost silly to buy a Model S right now, I'm kind of went back and looked at an I-Pace, and I'm thinking like, I think I'm giving it another shot in my head. So yeah, I think those awards kind of help maybe a lot of people who originally weren't really into it. Come back and take a second look. All right, that's pretty cool. What else? What else did you see there?
Okay, so then we had the usuals. Chevy had a Bolt on display. It's kind of like a afterthought now. The Bolt, even though it's really a good little hatchback, and you can get fantastic deals on it right now. Even though the federal tax credit's been halved, Chevy is throwing out some really great deals. I mean, I've seen leases for $199 a month with very little money down. I've seen purchases for $7,000 or $8,000, up to $10,000 off MSRP. So the Bolt was there. It wasn't generating a lot of interest, but Chevy did have it in a nice prominent position with a charging station next to it to kind of let people know that it was an electric car. After the Bolt, the other 2 cars that I think actually had probably most interest would be both the Nero and the Kona. I'll start with the Kona EV. So the Kona had, when I was there, the press was kind of lined up to take videos of it, and I was a little surprised because it's not new. It's made the circuit already, but there were quite a bit of people there shooting videos of it and doing interviews in front of it. So it was generating some interest. It generated interest for me because I really, I'm still bouncing back and forth between getting the Kona EV and the Nero. And since the Neros aren't available at the dealership yet, I really couldn't take one for a good drive. So at the show, I went back and forth, sat in the Kona, sat in the Nero, went back and forth. And it really comes down to the rear seat room. To me, the rear seat room on the Kona is just insufficient. The rear leg room is pretty poor. I think there's about 5 or 6 more inches in the Nero EV. So I think I'm going to go for that, but I have to wait until they're available, which brings me to my conversations with Kia. I tried to get out of them when it was going to be available in the US because if you remember when we did the press drives last year, Kia was saying that early in 2019 it would be available. Then we heard it would be available in March.
I did the drive in February, I think, here in Santa Cruz, California, and they said like any day now. They also told me about a couple of months, but I haven't really kept up on what's going on. Are there any delays?
So what I was told is the cars are here. They're sitting in the port. Kia just hasn't.
You want to go and pick it up together, man?
Yeah, let's go break in.
I'll volunteer.
So the funny thing is, just recently I was down in Philadelphia, and I was driving by one of the ports in Philadelphia, and I saw dozens and dozens of Kona EVs parked there. And I tried to look to see if there were any Neros, but I couldn't see. But so the word from Kia was that, look, the cars are all here. and they're just getting some paperwork done, and it could be as little as 2 weeks when they arrive at the dealerships, but it could be as much as another 5 or 6 weeks. So,
Wow.
I know that's a little vague, but that was the best that I could get out of them, and I'm looking forward to it because I want to take one for a test drive, see what the lease deals are. We still don't have an MSRP, but they have basically said that just take a look at what the Kona sells for, and it's going to be within a couple dollars of that. So we kind of know what the where we're going to be coming in on a price for the Niro.
All right. It looks like it's easier to immigrate to America and get all the immigration paperwork done than to get the Kia Niros in here. It's quite a challenge. Looks that way. Okay.
They don't seem to be in a rush to sell them, Alex.
Yeah.
And you know, since we're talking about Kia, Kia put on a new concept.
Yes. Tell me about that. Tell me about that. What's going on with that one?
Little play on words. They called it the Habanero. And it's a crossover. It's actually about the same size as a Niro, except it's a little bit taller, and it has 4 butterfly wing doors, kind of like the BMW i8, the same type of doors that open up like a butterfly. So now we've got gull wing doors, butterfly doors, and falcon wing doors to try to figure out which one's which. But the butterfly doors, like I said, open up like an i8. I would imagine that if this ever comes to production, we're not going to see those doors on the production vehicle. But it goes about, Hyundai says it would go about 300 miles per charge. And it has some interesting tech in it. They claim that it will launch with, if it goes to production, with level 5 autonomy. It's designed to be an autonomous vehicle. The steering wheel retracts in when it's in full autonomous mode. And it's got something they call READ, which is real-time emotion adaptive driving. With a car, and I think Byton has a feature like this on their M-Byte, that the car reads your emotions and can tell if you're, what mood you're in, and it can adjust the lighting in the car, the temperature control in the car, and other features to match your mood.
Well, you don't need a wife anymore, I guess, to tell you which mood you're in. So that's an interesting feature.
So another thing that was really interesting that they said, it can also tell if you're hungry by visual cues, and it will automatically, if it tells that you're hungry, it will automatically route itself to a fast food restaurant.
Wow.
And that will be based on your previous preferences. So let's say it knows that you go to McDonald's a couple times a week, but you never go to Burger King. So it won't route you to Burger King. And it will also call the McDonald's ahead of time and order the food that you usually order. So it'll just drive you there and drive you up to the drive-through. And of course, it's not going to pick up the tab. You'll have to pay for the food, but the food will be sitting there waiting for you. So kind of some far out tech. But this is the stuff that we know we're not going to see in the next couple of years, but it's interesting to see where manufacturers' thoughts are and what direction they're going in. And I've seen this kind of tech. BMW's talked about this with the iNext SUV that's going to be coming out in somewhere around 2022, 2023. We've heard Byton talk about it. So it's interesting to see how these manufacturers are coming out with this automatic, the AI tech, and trying to integrate it and trying to find uses for it in their cars. So other than that, it has the basic, if it was a 4-seater, it would probably come in a 5-seater eventually if it comes to market. And that's what I want to talk about. I really kind of pressed the Kia people on this, and they said that don't be surprised if this makes it to market, and that they're really considering it. Now, obviously, it wouldn't be in this exact package, but it could be a 300-mile crossover that is built on the maybe next generation Niro platform.
So you mentioned also the e-tron. You touched it quickly. How was the reaction from people about the e-tron? Because it is actually going to be here on the market despite all the delays here in the United States next month. And there's already over 1,000 of them sold in Europe. People are driving it. I have my own Facebook group for e-tron owners, and people are posting pictures and taking trips on them. How was the reaction for that?
There was a decent amount of interest. There was a lot of people around it. And one of the things that was interesting was Audi had an Electrify America high-speed DC fast charger at their area. And that there definitely was a reason for that. And that was because one of the things that Audi seems to be really pressing and is very proud of is the DC fast charge rate that the e-tron is capable of. All of the talking points there mentioned how it can sustain 150 kilowatts of DC fast charge, and how it's the fastest charging premium electric vehicle. You know, they stick to the fact that I think they're walking the BMW line and not calling Tesla a premium electric vehicle. So they're very proud of the fact that the car can charge at 150 kilowatts, and they should be, because that's better than anybody but Tesla. And it was even better than Tesla up until a few weeks ago when Tesla announced the new higher speed fast charging.
Yeah, I'm still deciding whether or not to pull a trigger on it. I got this one now, this one right here, just to kind of practice, just to see how it goes. But in all seriousness, I've been seeing Electrify America locations popping up all over the place. It does look like it's really going to blanket the United States. By the end of the year, they're promising hundreds and hundreds of these, and they're all at least 150 kilowatts, but go all the way to 350 kilowatts. So once the e-tron and the Taycan is out, like by the end of this year, beginning of next year, like the infrastructure is going to be very much ready here in the US. There's Electrify Canada, they're working on stuff, and of course Ionity in Europe. So I feel like things are kind of coming together. So it's good to hear for sure.
Yeah, they really are. The infrastructure is key, as we all know. And the good thing about Electrify America is that they're under extreme pressure to hit their deadlines. It's not like, okay, they have this money and we don't know how many charging stations they're going to install and how long it's going to take them to install them. The settlement is very strict, and they have to install hundreds of them by, they have different set timeframes. And that's one of the things that's good. We know they have to hit these timeframes. So it's actually a problem for Electrify America. I've talked to them about this, and they're struggling to keep up with how aggressive the rate of installations that they have to maintain is. So that's good for us. We're getting these charging stations. As long as they're quality, the only thing you worry about if somebody is rushed to install hundreds of this high-tech equipment is that is it going to be quality? And we've had some quality issues on the early Electrify America station so far. There's been a lot of reported problems, but to Electrify America's credit, they seem to send out techs to fix the problems. We'd prefer if there were no problems, but at least they're on it. And when stations break, for the most part, from what I've heard, they do fix them.
I do have to say that one of the biggest, well, there are two biggest problems that I've heard from those who are using Electrify America. One is the cables are too short because they're very expensive. They're water cooled or liquid cooled. But second one is the price. It's probably one of the most expensive car charging rates that you would find, and it's in some cases, depending on how big of a charge your car can take, it's getting very close to filling up your tank with gas in terms of pricing. So that's the only two kind of concerns I've had. But listen, it's happening. The infrastructure is getting there. It's going to be here very, very shortly, and I'm really excited. So
absolutely.
There was another couple of things going on at the show. Tell us a little bit about that. There was this Genesis Mint. What's going on there?
Yeah, really quick before we jump to that.
Yeah.
Electrify America did start replacing some of the cables with longer cables. I don't know if you're aware of that. Not all of the stations, but there were some locations seemed to be worse than others with how the cars had to back in. And on those stations, they already started replacing the cables with longer ones. So
That's
they
good to hear.
know there's a problem and they're working on it.
That's good to hear.
Okay. So yeah, we'll jump over to the other concept that was kind of a wild concept at the New York Auto Show, and that came from Genesis, and it was a Genesis Mint. It's a small 2-seat concept that's, they dubbed a city car. It doesn't have a large battery. They said it's, expect at most 200 miles of range. So, what you and I both know that means maybe 140 or 150 if it's at most 200. And yeah, see in the picture there, again, we've got these butterfly wing doors, but they're not for passengers. They open up the back of the vehicle to a storage area so that there's easier loading and unloading of storage.
That's
the
interesting.
Front doors are regular doors. The front doors open up normally. They don't open up like those rear doors. That just gives you easy access to the storage area.
That is interesting. What a waste, some people might say, right? You got the doors going up, and yet you can't get in the car that way. But no, very interesting. I do have to say, I do like the look of it. What are the chances of this actually making it to the market, like especially in this type of shape? I mean, I think the design, especially for a compact car, is probably one of the best I've seen, if you ask me.
It's a cool design. It kind of, in person, I thought of the Hyundai Veloster. It kind of looked like that, the way the back sloped back. I know it doesn't really look like that in pictures, but you know how sometimes cars just look different in person? Yeah, you can see the rear of it has that Veloster look. But I thought it was a cool concept. Genesis really wasn't too forthcoming as far as their aggressiveness in bringing this to market. I would say not as much as Kia was. The Kia reps, kind of were saying, look, this really could come to market, not in this package. It'll be a little different, but we're really seriously considering making this. The Genesis people weren't as strongly supportive of this making it to market. Now, of course, they didn't dissuade you to say, nah, we'll never make this. It's just a crazy concept. But they didn't seem as confident that Genesis was behind it. That could just be my personal reading. But from talking to them and trying to get more information about them on it, they didn't seem as comfortable talking about it as Kia did, as whether or not it's going to make it to production.
Okay. All right. So what's your overall impression, unless there's anything else that you kind of want to mention, but what's your overall impression as far as like what the people have been saying, what people have been kind of talking about? I know you were there just for the press days, but you think we're moving closer to the electric cars being on people's minds and more people considering that, them for getting as the next car without thinking, oh my God, it's electric?
Yeah, well, we're still very early on. We're still in the early adopter stage of, electric vehicle adoption. But absolutely, more and more people are considering it. And, when you go to the New York Auto Show and there's a plug-in car in virtually every area, and there's this big sign as soon as you walk in that directs you to where they all are, that's giving me the impression that that they wouldn't do this if more and more people weren't interested and maybe even asked for it in previous shows. Like, could you give us some direction? We're interested in the electric cars, but we don't know how to find them. Because if you've ever been to an auto show, and I know you have, the show floors are huge and you can get lost and it's hard to find things. So by giving them a little bit of a map to show them where all the plug-in cars are, I think that that's definitely a useful tool. And it lets me know that the auto show itself is very cognizant of the fact that people are coming to look at these electric cars, so they'll help them find them.
That is awesome. That is great. All right. Well, listen, thanks for yet another amazing report. I think we're going to see each other at an Electrify America event, possibly. But I am just like, this year's been going really, really well for electric cars. So thank you for another report and conversation. And I will see you next Friday.
Very good. See you next week, Alex. Have a great week.
You too. All right, guys. This is exciting. Just I've really missed going to the shows, and it's been what, only like 2 months since I've been to CES. So, but definitely glad that Tom was able to make it there and give us this awesome report. As you guys know, he is here every Friday for a Plugged In with Tom Moloughney. You can also read his column at the on the InsideEVs.com website. I put the link in the description of this video so you guys can check out his writing. I love his articles. I mean, this guy goes in depth, and there's the extension of his knowledge, and the fact that he's been around all of this stuff is like way longer than most of us is definitely a very, very unique, and he's got a very unique perspective. Don't forget to sign up for our VIP list, our exclusive content offers and newsletter that you'll get every week. We're just about to send out one tomorrow, so make sure you get on that. Looking forward to your comments, guys. Let me know which one of these cars that we're talking about you're considering, or maybe already driving. I'm definitely interested in knowing that. Other than that, see you next time, and remember to stay charged.